I wish I had more discipline. I work hard, but that's not the same thing as discipline. I tend to work hard to throw myself at the times when I've been undisciplined, to make up for it. I'm a great making up for it.
Stephen Colbert isn't just a comedian. He's a storyteller who's won fans over with humor and heart. A constant presence in late-night TV, Colbert is known for his sharp humor and fearless commentary. From his early improv days to hosting The Late Show, he has brought laughter and wit to millions. However, fans are now in shock after recent events that left everyone talking. While his comedy often takes center stage, there's much more to Colbert than his jokes. His personal story, his opinions, and his unique take on politics make him stand out. So, what just happened that's turning heads and making waves in the late-night world? Join us as we dive in and uncover the details together. But let's start from the very beginning, a family built on love and loss. Stephen Colbert was the youngest of 11 children born to James and Lona Colbert on May 13, 1964. Growing up in a big Catholic family had its joys, but it also came with immense challenges. Stephen's father, James William Colbert Jr., was a highly respected immunologist and a pioneer in academic medicine. His career took the family to places like Washington, D.C., Bethesda, Maryland, and finally Charleston, South Carolina, where they settled in James Island. Lona Colbert, a devoted homemaker, juggled the demands of raising her large family with grace and love. But Stephen's life took a heartbreaking turn when he was just 10 years old. In 1974, his father and two of his brothers, Paul and Peter, were tragically killed in a plane crash in Charlotte, North Carolina. Eastern Airlines Flight 212 claimed 72 lives that day, including 3 of the Colberts. This devastating loss left a void in the family and profoundly shaped Stephen's outlook on life. Reflecting on this tragedy years later, he told Oprah Winfrey, "For years I sort of thought that was my secret name, that loss was my name." These words reveal how deeply the event became a part of his identity, influencing his resilience and humor. After the crash, Stephen's childhood became remarkably quiet, a lonely childhood and a mother's strength. As the youngest, he was left alone with his grieving mother. Lona had lost her husband and 2 sons but remained a source of strength for young Stephen. "By her example," he said, "am I not bitter? Broken, yes. Bitter, no." Watching his mother endure pain without losing her compassion taught him to embrace his own struggles. Stephen spent much of his time alone, filling the silence with books. Reading became his escape and his passion. "I read a book a day," he once shared, describing how literature became his refuge. Birthdays and holidays were marked by stacks of books, and his allowance always went toward his next read. It was during these solitary years that he developed his incredible curiosity and wit. Stephen also found a purpose in making his mother laugh. He told Howard Stern that his first draw to comedy came from wanting to lighten her spirits. "I think there's no doubt that I do what I do because I wanted to make her happy," he said. Their relationship became unusually close, almost codependent, as Stephen worked to cheer her up and keep her going. Despite the closeness, Lona had confidence in her youngest child. She said, "I don't know why, but I'm not worried about you," a statement Stephen humorously recalled as foolish, irresponsible parenting. Speaking of which, did you know that Stephen's dreams were derailed by unexpected challenges as a child? Stephen once dreamed of becoming a marine biologist. He was fascinated by the ocean and all its mysteries, but that dream was cut short after a surgery left him deaf in his right ear. A botched operation on a perforated eardrum took away his ability to scuba dive, which he needed for marine biology. "I had this weird tumor as a kid, and they scooped it out with a melon baller," he joked to The New Yorker. The operation ended his dream, but it didn't take away his humor or his curiosity. Instead of dwelling on what he lost, Stephen turned his focus to other passions. His playful spirit even turned his hearing impairment into a party trick. He would pop his right ear inside out and back into place, delighting audiences with his quirky talent. It's this ability to find lightness in setbacks that has made him a beloved comedian. Although Stephen experienced unimaginable loss as a child, it wasn't until college that the full weight of his grief hit him. Finding solace and purpose in performance at Hampton-Sydney College, he found himself overwhelmed with sadness. "I didn't really feel the loss until I was in college," he admitted. Away from home, he finally had the space to process the deaths of his father and brothers. The grief affected him physically. He lost 50 pounds in his first year of college, describing himself as green from sorrow. But in the darkest times, Stephen discovered a glimmer of light. Acting and performing in college plays brought him joy and a sense of purpose. "You'd be crazy not to take that as a hint," he later said. "It's the only thing you work hard at." Acting gave him a way to channel his emotions and connect with others, setting him on the path to comedy and late-night television. The boy who once read stacks of books alone and practiced silly tricks with his ear grew into a man who used humor to bring people together, whether it was cheering up his mother or entertaining millions on television. Stephen Colbert's story is one of resilience, wit, and heart. Now, did you know that Stephen Colbert's first experience with theater wasn't just about acting? It was like therapy, a healing outlet for young Colbert. After a tough couple of years in college, he transferred to Northwestern University to study drama. There, he explored Stanislavski and Meisner techniques, which required him to tap into his emotions and share his pain with others. "It was therapy as much as it was anything," he shared in an interview with Judd Apatow. For someone who had bottled up so much grief from his past, this was a chance to let it all out. Colbert has always been open about how this shaped him. His ability to laugh in the face of hardship, often making himself the punchline, is part of what makes his comedy so unique. He joked to GQ that this mindset was like sipping little bits of arsenic so that you can't be poisoned by the rest of your discomfort. It's a defense mechanism, sure, but one that's carried him through life's challenges. Despite his deep Catholic roots, Colbert once struggled with his faith. After college, when he was living in Chicago, he began to doubt everything he'd grown up believing. He described it as losing faith in God and feeling a profound grief over it. "I was sort of convinced that I had been wrong all this time," he said. But then something remarkable happened. One cold day, while walking down the street, a stranger handed him a small green New Testament. Out of curiosity, or perhaps desperation, he opened it and found verses for dealing with anxiety. One passage spoke directly to him, lifting the heavy weight he'd been carrying. "For the first time, I understood the real meaning of the phrase," he said. That moment reignited his faith, changing his life forever. Today, he openly shares his love of religion, crediting that chance encounter with saving him during a dark time. Speaking of that, Colbert's relationship with grief has evolved over the years. Losing his father and two brothers in a plane crash left scars that he carried for a long time. He didn't fully confront the pain until college, when the weight of their absence hit him hard. He later reflected, "Grief is something you can't escape. Grief is its own thing," he told Playboy. "You have to be okay with its presence. If you try to ignore it, it will be like a wolf at your door." His mother played a huge role in helping him understand this. After the crash, she focused on gratitude, teaching her son that even pain can be a gift. "What she taught me is that the deliverance God offers you from pain is not no pain. It's that the pain is actually a gift," he said. That perspective would help Colbert face future losses, including the death of his mother in 2013. When Lona Colbert passed away at the age of 92, Stephen took time off from the Colbert Report to be with her. When he returned, he stepped out of character to deliver a heartfelt tribute. "When you watch this show, if you also like me, that's because of my mom," he said. He remembered her as a fun and loving woman who had once trained to be an actress herself. Despite her own grief, she raised her children with strength and joy, qualities Stephen carries with him to this day. So, Stephen Colbert's life and career have always been about connecting with others, whether through laughter or thought-provoking commentary. Finding purpose through comedy and politics, after 11 seasons of the Colbert Report, he stepped away in 2014, believing his style of political satire was no longer needed. "I no longer felt that that model served to address the national mood," he told GQ. He thought the country was moving past its cycles of anger and fear. But after joining The Late Show, he realized how wrong he was. The political climate, especially after Donald Trump's election, brought new challenges that required his sharp wit. Stephen Colbert's approach to comedy has always been bold and fearless. In an interview with Rolling Stone, he admitted that the anger in the country hasn't disappeared, and he's been at an emotional 10 at all times. His ability to use humor as a coping mechanism, learned from his own grief, has become a source of stability for millions of viewers. Colbert has described himself as left-leaning, but his approach to politics is nuanced. He once said, "I have no problems with Republicans, just Republican policies." His faith also influences his views, aligning him with figures like Cesar Chavez. This balance of humor, faith, and intellect has made him a voice for those seeking both laughter and understanding in difficult times. However, did you know that Stephen Colbert's early days on The Late Show were anything but smooth? A rocky start led to a ratings surge, and Colbert struggled to attract viewers, with ratings sinking below 2 million, putting the show in a tough spot. But then came the 2016 U.S. presidential election, and everything changed. With Donald Trump in the spotlight, Colbert's ratings soared, even surpassing Jimmy Fallon's for weeks at a time. The shift wasn't random. Colbert's humor became sharper and more politically charged. Bill Carroll from Katz Television Group explained that Fallon avoided political humor, while Colbert went full throttle on Trump. This bold approach connected with audiences and revived The Late Show. Still, Colbert didn't celebrate Trump's election. His live election night special was one of the hardest moments of his career. Reflecting on that night, he shared that the audience was openly sobbing, and the pre-taped material they had wasn't prepared for Trump's victory, forcing them to improvise. That night left a lasting impact on Colbert, who later said, "The next person who says, 'You must be happy Trump won,' is going to have their eyes carved out." Colbert's evolution on The Late Show didn't just boost ratings, it reshaped late-night television. Known for his biting political satire, Colbert made his show a platform for navigating polarizing topics. His humor is clever, nuanced, and unapologetic, even when it gets him into trouble. One of his most talked-about moments came during a May 2017 monologue, where Colbert delivered a harsh critique of Trump, leading to an FCC investigation over claims of obscenity. Trump himself fired back, calling Colbert a no-talent guy and accusing him of being filthy. Instead of backing down, Colbert celebrated the attention. "The President of the United States has personally come after me in my show," he told his audience with a grin. "And there's only one thing to say, yay." This moment captured Colbert's confidence and willingness to push boundaries. Reflecting on his role in late-night TV, Colbert told The Hollywood Reporter that making comedy out of politics is a privilege. He added, "I think I've got the best job in America." For Colbert, humor isn't just entertainment, it's a way to make sense of a chaotic world. But behind the scenes, Colbert's journey on The Late Show was a learning curve. Coming from The Colbert Report, where he handled nearly everything himself, Colbert initially tried to micromanage his new show. He resisted hiring a showrunner and took on tasks like managing props, graphics, and junior staff. But the sheer scale of The Late Show made that approach unsustainable. "It was like going from go-kart to NASCAR," Colbert explained. The pressure of overseeing every detail left him exhausted and affected his performance. Jon Stewart, a close friend and former colleague, expressed concern, saying he was doing too much and that it wasn't healthy for someone who also had to perform. Realizing he needed help, Colbert stepped back from some responsibilities and allowed others to take the lead. This shift brought new energy to the show and allowed Colbert to focus on connecting with his audience. As he put it, hosting The Late Show requires a level of ease and enjoyment that can't be achieved when bogged down by details. Colbert's transition to The Late Show wasn't just about adjusting to a larger format. It also required a new approach to interviewing. On The Colbert Report, he played a character, and his guests were often there to represent ideas rather than share personal stories. On The Late Show, however, Colbert needed to connect with guests in a more genuine way. "I thought it would be a natural transition," he admitted, "but it was a real revelation to realize I needed to change." Over time, Colbert improved as an interviewer, becoming a better listener and allowing guests to open up and share their perspectives. He found his voice again, with authority. Yet, not every guest was a success. Appearances by Casey Affleck and Oliver Stone were notably awkward, despite Colbert's best efforts. But these moments didn't deter him. Instead, they highlighted his growth as a host and his ability to adapt. Through it all, Colbert's sharp wit, political insight, and willingness to evolve have made The Late Show a standout in the crowded world of late-night TV. When it comes to his personal life, Stephen Colbert's love story is nothing short of magical. In 1990, he found himself at a crossroads. His then-girlfriend gave him an ultimatum: commit fully or move on. Unsure of what to do, Stephen turned to his mother, Lorna, for guidance. Her response was simple yet profound: "If you don't know, it's not right." That very evening, fate took over. At the Spoleto Festival in Charleston, Stephen attended the premiere of Hydrogen Jukebox. While standing in the lobby, he spotted a woman across the room. For Stephen, it was love at first sight. "I walked in and saw this woman, and I thought, that one right there," he recalled. The woman was Evelyn McGee, and she would become his wife just a few years later. What makes their story even more remarkable is how quickly they clicked. Stephen and Evelyn talked the entire night, and as his mother later joked, "I didn't see him again that evening." They soon discovered they had grown up in the same town, had mutual friends, and shared an instant connection. Since their wedding in 1993, Evelyn has been a constant source of love and support. She's not only Stephen's partner in life, but has also appeared alongside him in projects like Strangers with Candy. Today, the couple lives in Montclair, New Jersey, with their 3 children, Meline, Peter, and John. Despite Stephen's skyrocketing fame, his personal life remains grounded. He is a devoted family man. In Montclair, he's not just a celebrity. He's a husband, a father, and a member of the community. Family and community have always been important to Stephen. He's made it a priority to be present in his children's lives despite his hectic career. "I read to the children most nights. I'm big on hugging. We are very silly," he shared in an interview. Silliness and warmth are hallmarks of the Colbert household. A neighbor once said, "Stephen and his family are very happily entrenched. You can always see him with his family." For Stephen, embracing a normal family life isn't something to shy away from. In fact, he cherishes it. "I don't see anything wrong with that," he told Parade. "I think a lot of people who perform have a fear of being ordinary. They confuse ordinary with common." This perspective keeps him grounded, reminding him of the values his mother instilled in him growing up. Evelyn, who serves as the president of the Montclair Film Festival's Board of Trustees, shares Stephen's love for community. Together, they've built a life centered on family, creativity, and mutual respect. A proud Catholic, Stephen's faith is another cornerstone of his life. Despite facing unimaginable tragedy at a young age, his faith has remained a guiding force. He attends church every Sunday with his family and has even taught Sunday school classes. Teaching the children in his parish gives him a sense of fulfillment. "I get to actually talk to someone who will take me seriously when I talk about religion," he joked, adding that the children's innocence and curiosity remind him of the simplicity of faith. Stephen's connection to his faith is reflected in a card he keeps on his desk, which reads, "Joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God." This card, given to him by a priest friend, encapsulates his approach to life. For Stephen, joy isn't about ignoring life's difficulties. It's about finding light even in the darkest moments. This perspective was deeply influenced by his mother, Lorna, who taught him to be grateful for life, no matter the challenges. "What she taught me is that the deliverance God offers you from pain is not no pain, it's that the pain is actually a gift," he once said. This lesson has shaped how Stephen navigates both his personal and professional life. If there's one passion Stephen Colbert wears proudly, it's his love for J.R.R. Tolkien. After the tragic loss of his father and brothers, young Stephen turned to books as a form of escape, and Tolkien's fantastical worlds became his safe haven. "I escaped my teen years and all that grief in books," he said. His passion for Tolkien isn't just a. Stephen Colbert's obsession with J.R.R. Tolkien's work goes beyond casual interest. It's a full-blown passion. Fluent in Quenya, one of Tolkien's fictional Elvish languages, Colbert's encyclopedic knowledge of Middle-earth earned him praise from The Hobbit director Peter Jackson, who called him the biggest Tolkien geek I've ever met. In 2013, Colbert and his family made cameo appearances in The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, fulfilling a lifelong dream. Beyond Tolkien, Colbert's comedic genius shines through his satirical work, especially his on-air persona on The Daily Show. This character, which he later refined on The Colbert Report, was a well-intentioned, poorly informed, high-status pundit, poking fun at media-driven personalities who prioritized style over substance. One of his most memorable contributions was coining the term truthiness, humorously highlighting the tendency to believe something based on feelings rather than facts. This sharp wit and unique perspective made the Colbert Report a cultural phenomenon. Colbert's ability to adapt has been crucial to his success, helping him navigate various controversies on and off screen. One such moment came in 2014 when a satirical joke on the Colbert Report sparked a social media backlash. The joke, which mocked the Washington Redskins Charitable Foundation, included a line that read, "I am willing to show Asian community I care by introducing the Ching Chong Ding Dong Foundation for Sensitivity to Orientals, or whatever." Activist Sue E. Park launched the Cancel Colbert campaign, which was meant to raise awareness about racism but turned into a storm of harassment and threats. Despite the backlash, Colbert didn't back down. This incident underscored the complexities of using humor to address serious issues. In 2017, Colbert faced another controversy when he delivered a scathing monologue about President Trump. His infamous line, "The only thing your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's cockholster," sparked outrage and even led to an FCC investigation. Yet, Colbert stood by his intent, saying, "I don't regret that. I believe Trump can take care of himself. I have jokes. He has the launch codes, so it's a fair fight." The public response was divided, but Colbert's unapologetic stance resonated with many. Colbert's ability to turn controversy into comedy was further demonstrated when he had an awkward moment with Anthony Scaramucci, the short-lived White House communications director. Colbert had announced an exclusive interview with Scaramucci, but ABC's George Stephanopoulos scored an interview the day before. Despite the mix-up, Colbert handled the situation with humor. Additionally, Colbert once got into trouble when his illustrated book I Am a Pole, and So Can You almost got a child in trouble at school for its adult humor. This unpredictability, though sometimes blurring lines, is part of what keeps his fans coming back for more. Colbert's ongoing feud with Trump has been a defining feature of his late-night career. Trump frequently targets Colbert, calling him boring and a total loser, but Colbert seems to thrive on Trump's insults, often turning them into material for his show. In 2024, Colbert called Trump boring during a PBS interview, to which Trump fired back on Truth Social, accusing Colbert of being unfunny and overpaid. Colbert, true to form, responded on his show, saying, "He's clearly upset because I called him boring, and I called him boring because I knew it would upset him." The audience roared with laughter, highlighting Colbert's ability to turn criticism into comedy gold. Colbert's jabs at Trump haven't been limited to playful banter. He's also criticized Trump's political decisions and allies. In one episode, he mocked Attorney General Merrick Garland for not prosecuting Trump sooner, saying, "Are you sorry you didn't speed up those Trump trials now, you schmuck?" Despite the political tension, Colbert has drawn a line when it comes to making jokes about Trump's youngest son, Barron, stating, "I don't want to make jokes about Barron. He's just a kid." This thoughtful boundary shows Colbert's ability to balance sharp satire with empathy. Through all the controversies, Colbert stays true to his unique comedic style, turning even the toughest situations into moments of laughter and reflection. What are your thoughts on the fiery back and forth between Trump and Colbert? Do you see it as sharp political satire or just entertaining late-night drama? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more fascinating stories.